Continued literal equations. That's good. All right, beautiful. Okay. So
Mr. Evans, you're muted.
Yep. I'm special. Come on. There. Little sausage fingers did the button there. So we got Taya, and who is that with Taya? Put in the chat. She's like, oh my God, you're talking to me already. Nina, that's right. Okay, cool. I rely on your names on your little picture so I can tell who the heck I'm talking to. I appreciate you for having your cameras on if you do. And we got a lesson quiz today. We're going to go over 2.5 again. Okay. Then 3.1 tomorrow. Then on Thursday, we've got the district assessment. And we're going to do some 3.1 then and 3.2 on Friday. Okay. So district assessment is an Algebra 1 readiness assessment. It's not going to, I won't destroy your grade if you don't do well on it, because that's not the point of it. It's just for me to see where you're at, how much you know and how much you don't know. Okay. So that's the only purpose of that. So try to make it not a massively stressful thing for you, because it shouldn't be. Okay. So I'm going to go over, unless you guys have homework questions, I just picked some problems to go over that I know are going to be like ones on the quiz. So if somebody wants to ask a question on a homework problem along the way, please do, and we'll get it figured out. You good? Ready to go? So I got 19 here. Does anyone have a question, first of all? You can shake your head no or shake your head yes, you do. No, I don't. Yes, I do. Okay, so that was a no as far as I can tell. So there's the first one I wanted to cover, because I told you this one would be on your quiz, and indeed it is. I got all Schoology stuff updated. I'll show you later after we go over these homework problems where I change where some stuff is so it's easier to access. What is the first step here? How about Anderson?
All right. So I divided out the x on the left side of the equal sign.
Good. Divide out the x on the left, and that x comes in front of the parenthesis. They'll say x times a quantity is how you say that in math language. And then the x's cancel here on this fraction. You only have m left plus n equals p. And then what's the last step, Nina?
The last
Ooh, yeah, you get the dual. Yeah, you stay us, because if you do yours too, it gets all crazy.
The last step is to bring the. I don't know how to say it, but I know how to do it.
What's that mean? Begins with a D.
Oh, you divide it by mn, I think.
Good.
M plus n.
Good. So those mn's cancel, m plus n cancels from the left side of the equal sign, and your final answer is p over m plus n. Okay? So again, to emphasize again and again and again, the only way to get rid of two variables is to factor them out. That helps you to go from two variables to one variable. All right, raise your hand if you need more time writing that down. Okay. Next one. So x over a equals y over b. And we're solving this one for x. So anytime you see two fractions like this, virtually in almost any problem, I will cross multiply. It just makes it easier. So you multiply this direction and multiply this direction. And so you get ay over here equals, now the mistake I see students make with this is they put it as a fraction instead of one side equals the other side. So a times y equals x times b. So Ash, what would you do for the last step in solving?
Can you hear me?
Last step to
Can
solve
you hear
for
me?
x? Say again.
I honestly have no idea.
So what's the operation right here? Because I will help you. What's the implied operation in between x and b?
Oh, multiply.
How do you undo multiplication?
Divide.
There you go. So I divide by, if I'm trying to solve for x, I always divide by the other thing, because then I can get the correct answer. So I'm going to divide by b on both sides, and then the b's cancel over here. And I have x equals ay over b. So again, we're just manipulating these equations, moving stuff around so we can get the correct answer, okay? Solving for one kind of variable. So your homework today is going to be this physical science worksheet where you're just manipulating equations, moving stuff around, just like we did here. Next one I wanted to do is this. So I only have one number on the right side of the equal sign. If I make that 2 over 1, then I can cross multiply. Just saw something in the chat. I missed it though. Yes, absolutely, Shahad. Leave and come back. Yeah, I was wondering if the Wi-Fi around would be screwed up because of the weather. It shouldn't have any effect at all, but you never know. Okay, so when I'm cross multiplying here, because I saw somebody in their homework write a little note next to this problem talking about I could just put that 2 over 1 and then cross multiply. Okay, so I agree with that. I think it's an easy way to do it. And then really important when you show that, you have to show it with the parentheses because we're multiplying this 2 by both the y and the -1. We're multiplying this 1 by both the x and the positive 2. Now, most of you guys know I don't need this 1 right here because if I multiply 1 times anything, it just stays the same. So I'm just going to go ahead and take that 1 off because I'm good right there. Then all I got to do is distribute the 2 into the left side. Remember, when you distribute, you multiply. So 2 times y is 2y. 2 times -1 is -2. And this one, like all the other ones, we're solving for x as well. So we're just going to subtract 2 as the last step. So we get 2y minus 4 equals x, and we done. Any questions on this? So I'm starting to get a few of you guys to come in during access time, and it's been super helpful for those that have, because they've understood the math better and feel more comfortable, right? So if you're sitting there struggling on some of this math, access time, you know, Tuesday through Friday, 3:10 to 4 o'clock, okay? Here's another one. So you've got one like this on your quiz. So I would just say, as far as what you should write down, you could do radius of a circle, circumference 22, and write down use 3.14 for pi.
Mr. Evans, we can't see.
You really? Oh, it's 2. I got you. It's 2. Better? Yeah, good. Sorry about that. So we use 3.14 for pi. This one says radius of a circle. So that's what you're trying to find is radius of a circle. And it tells you circumference is 22m. So the equation for circumference is c equals 2 pi r. So eventually you're going to have to know all these formulas when you're in geometry. They give you a ton of formulas to know and memorize. But a lot of times you can just look these formulas up. So you can look it up on your phone if you don't know circumference of a circle. You know, even if you're in a quiz, it's fine. If I want you to memorize a formula, I will tell you. So I'm just going to plug in what I have. So I have 22 for C. I have 3.14 for pi. And we're trying to find the radius. I'll give you a sec to write that down. So I have 22 equals 6.28 r. Then my last step, just divide by 6.28. So I'm going to do that in the calculator real quick. That is not even close. So 3.5 for the radius. I think they wanted us to round to the tenths. Yeah, nearest 10. So radius equals 3.5. How many points did I just lose?
Half a point.
Half a point, right? Because no units. So go back up here and
What's
check
the-
out units are
What's the
meters.
equation?
So we get
What, Mr. Evans? What's the
Mia?
equation for the radius?
there is no
Is there an
equation for the radius because they talked to us about circumference up here. So that's the formula for circumference, and radius is what we're trying to find, Mia. Is that good? See, this is where, like, you guys having your cameras on, good, because I can look at your faces and tell if you're confused or not. So use your camera if you can. Okay, we good on that? So now we've got a triangle. So it says a triangle has a height of 4 feet. It says area equals 32 feet squared. And we want to find the base. What's the formula for area of a triangle? Somebody's going to tell me.
Base times height divided by 2.
Yes, base times height divided by 2, 1/2 base times height, any way you want to say it. So area of a triangle, you could write it like this. You could write it like that. Either way, doesn't matter. They're both correct. So we're going to plug in. So we got 32 equals, we're trying to find B. We've got the height of 4 feet. And then we've got the divide by 2. So I use the base times height divided by 2. So the 2's in the way. How do I get rid of that 2? How about Elise? How do I get rid of the 2? Or no, I don't have Elise in here. How about, wrong class, my bad. How about, let's go for Lorelei. Or how about Liam? Lorelei, go. What you got, Lorelei? I can't hear you.
Oh, my mic wasn't working. Sorry.
Nancy, you're good.
I'm not sure. Do you do b times 4 divided by 2? I'm not
So
entirely
this
sure.
is divide by 2. What's the opposite of divide by 2?
Multiply.
That's it. Okay. So you multiply by 2, cancel out the right side. Multiply by 2. So 2 times 32 is 64 equals 4b. And what is the last step? How about Jeff? Right here. Last step.
You would divide the 4 to both sides.
Divide 4 on both sides. 64 divided by 4. 4 divides in 1 time. 2 left over. 4 divides into 24 6 times. And what are we talking about with units on this one? Anyone? What are we talking about units?
Feet.
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 Thank you. Okay, and you can always abbreviate units. You don't have to write feet out. That is fine. Okay. Ooh, we got double vision on Nina and Taya now. That's crazy. It's not doing the feedback thing with you guys having both computers right next to one another?
Her volume's muted, and we're using mine as the
Oh,
volume.
nice. Because that didn't work last year, so they must have improved this thing since then, which is a bonus. Good. Okay, so I'm going to read this one to you because it's another story problem example that you guys can pretty easily solve. So this one says, first of all, we're rounding to the tenths. A vehicle travels on a highway at a rate of 65 miles per hour. How long does it take the vehicle to travel 25 miles? So this is a formula you're kind of expected to know. Rate times time equals distance. Distance equals rate times time. I'm just going to make that a lowercase d. Doesn't really matter. Distance equals rate times time. So they want to know 25 miles. That's the distance. The rate is 65, and we want to see how long that takes. So 25 equals 65 times t. I think we did with this one in the notes, or somebody asked me this question during work time on Friday. So last step, divide by 65 on both sides. And then 25 divided by 65 is we're rounding to tenths, so 0.4. And that's hours. About how many minutes is 0.4 hours? And if you don't know, how would you figure it out? So give me a guess. Anyone? Rachel's about to do it, I saw. Or Leon.
25.
25 minutes. Okay, it's a good guess. Right, 0.4 is less than half. Half would be 30 minutes. How do you figure it out? Exactly how many minutes?
15.
What would you have to plug into the calculator?
60.
Times what?
0.4.
24 minutes. So Leon was super close. 24 minutes, okay? You might have to figure out that kind of thing at some point. So if you have some decimal equivalent with time, just multiply it by how many minutes or hours or days, whatever the case may be. Okay. How many people had a question on this one? This was 35 in your homework? Because a lot of you guys see these big fat story problems and you're like, I'm good. I won't be doing that one. Remember, I post solutions, so you leaving something blank is never an excuse. Just write something down, please. The formula here is n equals 7LH, cursive L like that, where L, N is number of bricks. L is length, shockingly. H is height. They tell us that the length is 28. We don't know the height. We know the number of bricks, which is here. Length is 28, and we don't know the height. Okay, Kelly, what would you do first? Kelly. Oh, come on. I would say that right back to you. You can do it. What would you do first? What would you do on this right side? What's the operation in between these two? Is your mic not working, or are you scared to even use your voice? Somebody help Kelly out so Kelly can see how easy it is and know that she can do it as well. Celeste, how about you?
Wouldn't you multiply?
You would. So 7 times 28. Now, Kelly, if you have one of those moments where you knew to multiply and didn't say it, please say it next time. So 7 times 28 is 196. And then what is the last step, Quinn?
And then you divide by 196.
Good. So divide both sides by 196. So we're doing 1568 divided by 196. And you get 8. Anyone remember units? Units are feet. How can you tell if units are going to be squared? How many dimensions do you have? Anyone? Write it in the chat. Raise your hand. Do what you got to do. How can you tell if it's units squared? What kind of problem would it be? Area. Very good. Sophia came up with that, right? So if you have 2 dimensions, base times height, you know, triangle, 1/2 base times height, 2 dimensions, the units are squared. So if you have any measure of area, it's always going to be squared. How about if it's cubed? What are you going to measure? Anyone? Volume, Sophia, good job. So volume is cubed because you're multiplying length times width times height, or base times height times length, whatever. Then you have 3 dimensions, that's why it would be cubed. Here we're only measuring the height, right? So it's a linear dimension. That's why it's only feet as opposed to feet squared. Okay, how about any of these from the last chunk of problems, 37, 39, 41? Anybody have a question on those? I just figured I'd throw it up there and see if anybody had a question. If not, we'll move on.
37.
37? Sure. So 37 is x over a minus 1 equals y over b. Oops, I screwed that up. Y over b. and we're solving for x. So I've got this x in the numerator over here, right? So always cover up the whole variable thing, and I want to get rid of this -1 right next to it. I'm going to add 1 to do that. So I have x over a equals y over b plus 1. And then I look here, I've got the x, divide by a is in the way. What do I do to get rid of divide by a? How about Maya? How do I get rid of divide by a? What's the opposite of divide by a? Maya. How about, let's go with Banyan. What's opposite of divide by a, Banyan? I'll wait all day.
Wait, what are we dividing?
How do I get this x by itself?
You divided
So how do
1
you
by
divide
x,
by
or
a?
wait, no.
Opposite of divide by a is?
So, wait, multiply.
Good.
Wait, yeah.
All right. Don't freak out, Banyan. You're good. Even if you don't get it, I'll help you, right? So on the left, we have x left. I'm going to go ahead and multiply that a into the parentheses. So in a multiple choice kind of problem, you might see this as your answer. Right, just with this a hanging out in front. Or you might see that a distributed. So it would look like this. So when you multiply a fraction times this letter, you only multiply straight across top and bottom because it's like a times y and 1 times b. So that's why you end up with ay over b. And then a times 1 is just a. No big deal. So it's just weird, right? The problem with these problems is you're not like, yay, x equals 2. X equals this, which is just funky, right? It's confusing. But last day, you finish your lesson quiz on 2.5. Then we'll have a little review assignment. But that's all you'll see with this stuff. Any other questions, 39 or 41 from the end of the homework on Friday?
Yesterday you didn't post anything, right?
No. We had the
Okay.
day off, so I posted it all this morning.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anybody have 39 or 41 they want me to do? Okay, looks like we're good. Going back to the Schoology homepage, what I did is just made these 2 folders right here for videos and notes. I figured it'd be easier for you guys to find them. So I've got the 3 videos. The one I couldn't load up because we showed kids' faces, which we're not supposed to do. And then I've got all the notes on there as well. So if you missed a day, you can look at the calendar to see what day it was and then find the notes like that. I think it'll make it pretty easy for you. At least that's my hope. So you've got lesson quiz, week 3. So we're going to do this physical science literal equations worksheet. You can find in the week 3 folder, but the best place to find it always is the calendar, right? So I just click on the physical science worksheet, click view again, and there it is, okay? So you're going to be asked to solve for the variables on the physical science, okay? So you can just start cranking out these problems. You don't have to ever print these. You can always write them on notebook paper, right? So just write W equals M plus G and solve it for G, right? Write down this and solve for A. And You got the rest of the time to work on this worksheet and your lesson quiz. So if you got any other questions, just throw your mic on and I'll help you out. And you're good. All right.
Did you post a place? Did you post like a place where we can put in the work that we do?
Yep.
For that.
Let's go back here. So you got lesson quiz and quiz work right here, okay? I'm just gonna make sure I have submissions enabled. Yeah. So there's that worksheet. Have at it. Ask questions if you need to. I'll just be working on grading stuff here, so please ask.